Here's my latest creation. Don't know what to call this, but it's basically a diode fan controller. This one is put together for a member who hasn't got room for a proper fan controller and just wanted something to drop the voltage on his water cooling pump. This is a modular diode drop controller, and what it basically does, you've got these connections where if you wanted to have 7.5 volts say through your pump, then you'd have them all connected. But if you only wanted say 10.5 volts, you would just have this end connected to that end. So it's modular in the way that you can change the amount of diodes in there. And obviously I could have put a switch in there and had a number of diodes wired up, but because the pump consumes an 1.5 amps, the switches I had were massively underpowered. So this was an ideal solution. Inside here I've got a 6 amp diode both ends, and then some 3 amp diodes in the middle. They get a little bit warm, and I can feel the warmth through the heat shrink. Those are a bit warmer because they're 3 amp ones. They get a little bit warmer, and I shall, at the moment, I'm just going to probe. Got my current meter there on the right, my voltage meter on the left, and see if I can probe the voltage. There you go, 7.3 volts. Okay, so now we've got just the one diode there, one diode there, and the single inline diode on this one. So that's 3 diodes altogether. We're now running at 1 amp, so it's dropping about 0.3. And let's see if I can get this voltage again. So there you go, with 4 diodes in place, get 8.6 volts and 1 amp. Okay, so let's try the faster setting, which will be around about 9.5 volts I guess, with just the 2 big diodes. So I've got them all running. This is on the fastest setting, as it were. 1.1 amps, 9.23 or thereabouts volts. So that's dropped a considerable amount of voltage just on 2 diodes. That would be quite a noise saving there, and obviously then you can choose to have small increments above that then, so that's good. I would just like to add that the ideal solution to controlling a pump in a PC when you don't have a fan controller is to use a PWM circuit. I did suggest this, but obviously room was a problem, so I went down the diode route. This little box here, I mean, it could go a lot smaller than that. Could control many amps of fans or pumps or whatever efficiently. PWM is basically an on-off signal, so when it's on it consumes energy, when it's off it consumes nothing or very little, just the timing circuit. The diodes that I created, what happens is the voltage comes to the diode and it takes maybe half a volt, maybe 0.7 of volt off the voltage and just drops that energy as heat, whereas the PWM doesn't. It just goes on and off and uses very little power, so you could have much cooler, much more energy efficient circuit using some kind of PWM circuit built on a 555 timer, for example. This is what I would do, but there you go, diodes work as well.